So, thank you for joining us on our second episode of Grumpy Old Men. 3 grumpy old men here in Thailand, minus 1 because Baz, well, he's still not here.
No.
He will be back next week, though.
Baz may be a myth. I don't know. He may not really exist. He may be a figment of our imagination.
So, where's Baz from?
Somewhere in the UK. I think London. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's from the UK. Sometimes I think, oh, hang on, is he from New Zealand or something? Because the conversations he has, but I think he spent a lot of time in Australia.
I think so.
Originally from the UK.
Yeah, he worked in advertising, and I think he was sent from office to office and worked in many places.
And you're from?
Iowa, the state of Iowa in the United States of America.
And you're now retired here in Thailand, and
Yes.
I'm 12 years, nearly 13 years retired here, nearly 12 years this month, retired here in Phuket. I've lived up in Bangkok for a while as well. And so the tenor of the conversation each week will be different things happening around, sort of newsy things, issue things, things that people our age are interested in. Steve also does a blog each week, and there's a link in the description of this video if you'd like to see Steve as an adult 65-year-old playing with dolls.
Yeah.
Do you want to sort of explain yourself?
I have a bunch. I've been writing in this country for 35 years. I have books of short stories and essays available on Amazon. I have taken a bunch of my old short stories from the 90s and I'm dramatizing them. I used to build sets in the film industry. I was a set decorator, and I have built 4 so far, with more to come, little sets in 1/10 scale that I dramatize these stories on these sets using cheap little Chinese action figures that I buy locally for 20 baht. Everything, all the materials, everything is purchased locally here in Thai Muang, Turtle Beach, and I dramatize short stories by me and other authors that happen to be set in bars, in beach bars. And you be a 65-year-old man and go in a store and buy a dozen Barbie dolls in Thailand and see the kind of looks it gets you. But that is part of what my YouTube channel is about.
Where on earth did you get the idea for doing that, or is something you've secretly wanted to do for a long time?
No, my original, for about 5 months, my channel was kind of it was a variety show format. A little 3-minute comedic sketch, roll credits, 8 minutes of Steve doing a monologue about life in Thailand, a photo essay for 4 minutes, a time lapse of the sunset over Turtle Beach for 3 minutes, roll end credits. And that was what I did every week. That was an awful lot of work. A man named Roy Bott and a man named J.D. Strange up in Bangkok said, we want to dramatize one of your short stories with you playing the lead. And they picked a story called Necessary Things from a book called She Kept the Bar Between Them. And I went up to Bangkok. We got a cheap hotel room. We hired a young Thai lady to be talent, and we did this video.
Did that end well?
It got almost 8,000 views so far.
Okay.
And yeah, for me, that's ending well. So I thought,
just hiring a girl in a room in Bangkok, I mean, it just
ideas
were flashing.
And that is what happens in the story, of course. It is she's kind of holding him prisoner in a hotel room at the Nana Hotel. But that got such a good response that I changed the thrust of the thing. I said, I want to make movies. I want to make little movies of my old short stories. I used to be a set decorator. As I said, I've built sets for the theater, for television, for film. So I started buying just some styrofoam, making walls, cutting doors and windows in it, dressing it, finding props, little 1/10 scale dollhouse props and things. And I've got a beach bar. I've got a house in Isan with a buffalo. I've got a go-go bar, and which is where the Barbies perform. And I've got a short-time hotel room. And so far, I've managed to dramatize 5 or 6 of my old short stories that way.
And a lot of people enjoy them.
Well, thank you.
Including myself.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind, Tim.
I'll still mock you about it mercilessly.
I'm going to pretend that was sincere. I would like you all to pretend that was sincere.
And these cheap little blue tumblers actually sort of match our outfits today. So there you go.
Everything in my house is blue.
Okay.
Yeah, I love blue.
Now, last week you were talking about a story that happened next door. A young Russian turned up. We didn't finish the story, so I just wanted to give you a chance to finish it. Was he Russian?
No,
it wasn't.
I was not.
A
I've
young
met
guy.
a lot of Russians, but
okay.
no, not this.
We'll
guy.
talk more about Russians in a moment. But this young guy turned up at the bar, Katoy in arm.
Yes.
And you were sort of continue the story.
Well, he had come earlier in the night. I spend a fair
I
amount
beg
of.
your pardon?
He had arrived at the cannabis store earlier in the evening. He had purchased a few supplies and had a couple beers. He wanted to get up and go walk through the festival. Like I said, the Turtle Festival's going on. He wanted to walk through the marquee and buy some stuff. And he wanted to pay with a 1,000 baht note because that's what the ATM gives you. T, who runs the place, didn't have change for 1,000 baht. He said, "Go walk."
They never do.
No, and he well, his business is only 2 weeks old. The young man, the young tourist, and I won't name the country, but the young tourist, very happy.
Give me
guy.
a hint on the country.
Northern European.
Okay.
Schedules are very important. T said, "Go ahead, you go buy something. They'll make change down there, and you'll bring me back and pay." So the guy walks on. The young man walks on. About an hour later, he comes walking back. He's got a few plastic bags of T-shirts or whatever he's bought, and he's got this small, cute guitar on his arm. And my read was that he didn't have a clue, that he didn't know that she was a transgendered person. And she did not want to stay. T wasn't there at that moment. I can't take money. My visa won't allow me to do any business. I can't take money from anyone. I said, "Sit and wait. T will be right back. He's parking cars. He's renting parking." And so the two of them sat down and I talked. And this guy had a great big grin on. You know who you invited,
I know.
right?
This
guy had a great big grin on his face. Finally, and the girl was trying to get him out. The girl kept saying, "Don't wait, come on, come on." She kept pulling at his arm because she was afraid somebody in the place was going to say, "Oh, you like the toys?"
Yeah.
Because those are the two options. You don't know or you like that. And either one is fine, I guess. But she didn't want to be outed. She made it appear he didn't know. So she was trying to drag him out. And T finally showed up. The guy paid his bill. They went on their way. I assume he has not come back and complained, but I assume eventually at
He
some
got a bit
point,
of a surprise.
he was educated. He learned something in Thailand.
There you
right?
go.
Yeah.
Won't be the first, won't be the last.
No.
It's interesting when we talk about Katoy's sort of nickname Ladyboys. Sometimes it brings a snigger in some people's conversation.
Yeah.
But in Thailand, they really don't bat an eyelid.
Not at all.
Can you sort of describe that culture?
I worked with a lot of people of fluid gender in the film and theater industries in the United States. I worked with and for transgendered people, gay people, lesbian people,
Tom Cruise.
voluntary celibates, all kinds of people. And all that matters is, can you do the job? Because when you produce a movie or a play, you're relying on those other 49 people on the crew not to make you look stupid. If the sound guy doesn't do his job right, I look stupid. If I don't do my job right, the sound guy looks stupid. You're a team, you work together. The only thing that matters, can they do the job? But yeah, everybody's a 10-year-old, and anything that has to do with sex of a slightly off-brand nature, people will snicker, people will giggle, particularly men. Men never get past the age of 12. Here, of course, we had talked about what happened in the Turtle Festival. They had a huge parade in the Turtle Festival, and there were women in beautiful dresses, and there were guitars in beautiful dresses. And there were men in uniform with the flags and the portraits of the royalty marching along very seriously, and behind them came the gay boys. And they were being flamboyant and dressed up and having fun, and everybody in the audience is having fun. Here in Thailand, people like this are integrated into society, and they may snicker. Their adolescence is arrested at 12, just like ours. They may snicker, but they would never dream of telling a gatoy or a gay person or a lesbian, you can't march in the parade and be yourself in public. In America, all the people I worked with backstage became other people when they left the stage door. Their moms didn't know. Their day job, everybody in the theater has to have a day job. You're waiting tables at Olive Garden. Nobody at Olive Garden knew they were gay or transgendered. They had to hide it. Here, no. Here, it's part of life. Everybody has a relative who's
It surprises me that here we are in 2023 and transgender issues are probably going to be a big topic of discussion leading up to the next US presidential election. Why are people still talking about it
I don't know.
in 2023?
My countrymen continue to amaze me every damn day. And, I said goodbye to my family 9 months ago. I said goodbye to my children, to my mother, to my friends. I have no desire or intention to ever go back to the United States. I don't think I'll get very long here. I'm 65. I've had 2 heart attacks. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to enjoy every damn day I can.
Now, can I share that you said you were going to die in May this year?
No, I said I have to be okay, whatever happens. I promised God, and I don't believe in God, but one night in 2003, I promised God that I would do everything he would need me to do to get through a very terrible period in my life, as long as at the end of it I got 1 year in Thailand. That's all just 1 year. That was 2003. Now, 2023, I realize I made a deal. I have to be good with May of 2023 being the end of this experience, my 1 year. Either I have that 3rd heart attack, which is very likely, I still smoke a pack a day, or I can't afford the visa because the Russians in Phuket have driven up the price of a visa.
Which we'll talk about in just a moment.
Yeah.
But did you actually you've set this sort of May this year as a brick wall that you've got to climb over. Do you wake up in the morning and think, oh, gee, I've only got 2 months to go?
Yes.
It's amazing because from the outside, you actually look pretty good.
Thank you. Well, I ride my bicycle 20 kilometers every day.
Do you really smoke, when you say a pack a day, you're talking about 25 cigarettes?
20. There's
20.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a fair amount of marijuana as well. I have for 50 years, since I was 15 years old.
But you ride for an hour a day on a
2 hours.
2 hours.
And I walk it's 10 kilometers down to the end of the road and 10 kilometers back. And at the end of the road, I walk 1 or 2 kilometers on the beach.
You're fitter than me.
Well, thank you. I hope you're right. Baz Daniel is fitter than me, and yet he is begged out of 2 episodes because he's got health concerns, right? So, yeah, we're all unique. But I don't wake up wishing for death or dreading death. I wake up ready to appreciate every single day because I'm counting down to May. Now, I spent 25 years counting down to last May when I could come here. Every single day for 25 years, I said, all right, 24 years, 364 days. 24 years, 363 days. I did that every damn day for 25 years. So I'm used to counting down. And in this case, I'm counting down to I don't know what. And if nothing happens, I will be very pleased to stay here for the next 15, 20 years. But I made a promise. I have to be ready to accept whatever happens to me in May of 2023. If nothing happens, thank you, God.
But you said you're not superstitious and you're not religious.
Oh, no, I'm not religious. I'm very, very superstitious.
Oh, okay.
I've got lucky charms all over the house. I have a worry stone. I'm extremely superstitious.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but not religious. Not religious.
Now, speaking of the Russians, it is a bit of a topic of conversation. And,
among non-Russians, yes.
We know that particularly in Phuket, for whatever reason, but other parts of Thailand as well, including Pattaya, of course, a lot of Russians here at the moment, for whatever reasons. I see a lot of families. There are some younger Russians who are here maybe for reasonably obvious reasons, none of which I blame any of them for if they're trying to get away from fighting, trying to get away from conflict, trying to get away from whatever is ailing them in Russia at the moment. The Thai government are very happy to have them here. They seem to be spending lots of money, but they are pushing the prices of things up, including accommodation, villa rentals, and visas. You know, and this I don't know how much of my own visa status I want to share with you, but not much.
It is a fact that many of us buy our visa. Let's just leave it at that. And that price is fluid. That price is based on supply and demand. Right now, the demand is much higher than the supply. The Russians that I have talked to, and a lot of them come here to Turtle Beach looking for cheaper accommodation than they can find in Phuket. And they see my door open. They see a white guy sitting in here. My house used to be a restaurant. It opens completely at the front.
You do look very Russian.
Well, I had a Russian grandfather.
Okay.
My 4 grandparents came from 4 different European countries, and Russia was one of them. But at any rate, they see me in here and they say, excuse me, you can help me. I want to find a house to rent. You can help me. And I do. I have
He does
nothing else to
accents
do.
as well.
Not well, but that was Boris Godunov from the Rocky and Bullwinkle show, just to give credit where credit is due. And
Boris
I have
and
walked
Natasha.
them. I have walked them up and down there's 6 houses for rent on the beach road, and the second road I think there's 5 or 6 houses that are Falang style. Nobody wants to live like I do in an old sushi restaurant, but real houses, you know. And I've talked to them, and they're desperate. They have cashed in their chips. They have turned their back on Mother Russia. They're heading for New Zealand or Australia or the States, but that process takes up to a year. And they need a place to hunker down and save their money. They can't work here, and they just need a place to sit with their kids and their wife or their husband and wait for the visa applications to go through in these other countries. And they don't, they're newbies like anyone else. They pay too much for everything. They don't know.
Can I say that I speak to visa agents as part of my sort of general keeping in touch with what's going on in Thailand? And some of the visa agents have said to me that they've come in, some Russian people, Russian citizens, and put 100, 200,000 baht on the table in cash and said, get me a visa, take my money.
Yeah,
Now,
oligarchs.
If you want to, well, not even oligarchs. These are probably just business people.
Desperate middle-class people.
Desperate. And if you go to a visa agent any other time of the year, you would probably routinely pay, I don't know, 20 to 30,000 baht to get a visa sorted out.
Well, I know.
Would that be fair?
Well, I know an American retiree who lives on this beach who retired 9 months ago, and he paid 43,000 baht for his. And he was told renewal would be 18,000 baht at the end of 15 months. I think 18,000 baht at the end of 15 months, which will be October of this year, will not be enough. I think the renewal will be much, much higher than that. But the first initial visa was 43,000 baht. And that, when I was here 35 years ago, you just got a tourist visa at the airport, and then after 3 months you went to Penang, Malaysia, or you went across the border into Cambodia or whatever. You just left the country, came back in.
Do you ever do because you were here in Phuket, did you ever do the Ranong Run, where you take the long-tail boat over to Myanmar?
No,
that was great.
Yeah, well, my ex-wife is from Ranong, and our children were born in Ranong, and we used to go back and forth all the time, just to eat Chinese food. But I never did a visa run. I never heard anyone talk about.
You went to Myanmar to eat Chinese food.
Yeah. At that time, they had, in what's it called, Koh Song, used to be Victoria Point. It's right across the river from Ranong. So her family was big in smuggling, going back and forth across the river, particularly feminine products, tampons, napkins, and disposable diapers, because they float. You can throw them off the boat when the police challenge you. After the police leave, you scoop them up with a net, and they're perfectly fine. They're wrapped in plastic, and you've got your cargo back.
There you go.
And 52% of any population needs this product. So at any rate, that's what her family did. But yeah, we just go across, and there were a lot of stores. You'd get teak elephants for $2, and a really good Chinese meal. The Chinese were everywhere, and a really good Chinese meal for pennies back then. But that was 35 years ago, and I never heard anyone talk about that as a visa.
But we digress.
Yeah, that's what I do.
So let's have a talk about visas.
That's my gift.
Okay. So yes, the price of a lot
He invited me.
The price of, I can see my role in this program. Yeah. I'm just going to be...
Baz, please come save Tim.
I'm going to be the umpire. So they are pushing, and I'm not saying they as, I'm not blaming them. It's just happened that the prices of everything, including hotels and accommodation, are just shooting right up. Like, compared to a year ago, prices are 1,000, 2,000% higher.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. When I first...
It will level off and it will drop at some stage.
Yeah, markets even out, I guess.
Yeah.
But 9 months ago when I came, the plan was that once a month I would go to Phuket for 3 or 4 days, do some shopping, see my old friends.
Do this program.
Establish new relationships with new friends. And I did that for 4 or 5 months. As soon as the rain stopped and the plane loads of Russians started arriving, hotel rooms just became ridiculously expensive. A room that I rented for 500 baht, 4 or 5 months ago, is 2,500 now. Same room, same hotel. And I haven't been back to Phuket. That's why we're not shooting this.
Well, I can tell you that a friend, a school teacher friend, rented a condo for 8,000 baht, admittedly a COVID price, at one of the D condos, very popular, and they do the 32 square metre sort of single bedroom thing, thousands of them around Thailand, dog boxes I call them, 8,000 baht a month. On a month-to-month contract, he was told, you have to get out this month. They're now renting that same room for how much?
30 grand.
55,000 baht.
From 8 to 55.
That's the sort of obscenity that's happening at the moment.
That's capitalism, baby. That's laissez-faire capitalism. Yeah, supply and demand.
That's what happens in a place like Phuket, which runs on the fuel of tourism.
Yes.
The two conversations you have in Phuket are the tourists are coming or they're not coming.
Yeah.
And that's
what are you going to do until they get here, and how much are you making now that they're here?
And the people in Phuket, the Thais, they're making heaps at the moment.
And good on them. 3 years, they didn't make a dime, they didn't make a baht. So I'm glad to see hotels opening and everything. It would break my heart if Thai Muang ever became like Phuket. And the festival that went on, it was a little glimpse of what this place could be. It has always been popular with Thai tourists. But now the Falang have found it because they're getting driven out of Khao Lak and Phuket by price and by crowding and by dirt and various other things. Traffic, the taxi mafia, everything. And they're coming and they ask their phone, where's a quiet place around here that's not so expensive? And the phone says, well, there's Turtle Beach. There's this little place, nobody ever goes there except the Thai tourists. And boom, all of a sudden Steve is shepherding Russians up and down the beach road, helping them find rental houses. And I used to be special. I used to be the only white face on this beach until about a month ago. And now, look.
Yeah.
They'll let any riffraff in here.
The commoners have come.
Yeah.
The colonials are here. All right, so that's Grumpy Old Men for today. And thank you very much, Steve.
That went very quickly.
We should also thank Baz, who's not here, but we'll try and drag him out.
We miss you, buddy.
Wherever he is at the moment, we're going to drag him out of there, prop him up, and we'll let him tell us what's been wrong with him. He loves talking about his health.
Well, and may I say, I live here because Baz Daniel introduced me to this beach. He brought me here to ride bicycles in the national park. And on that ride, I said, this is what I'm looking for, not Phuket. This is it. I am here because of Baz Daniel.
And it is a great area. If you are ever in the southern part of Thailand, I can recommend it. Just take a little trip up to Turtle Beach and go and sit on the beach. And if you look across the road, you might see a little guy sitting on the veranda, bag.
Yeah, and if you go to Google Maps, Boon Tong's Beach Bar, my little set, my 1/10 scale set of a beach bar, is a place pinned on Google Maps. You should be able to find it, and that is my house where it is pinned.
So there's a link in the description for Steve's YouTube channel, Steve Ross, ROSS with an E on the end. Extremely pretentious. Thank you very much, Steve. And
thank you, Tim.
We'll see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I think that's all I have to tell you. Of course, I'm back Monday to Friday doing our TNT program, checking out all the news around Thailand and the region. Thank you for joining us.